Ormog second, and then, well, we didn't really get to see any of him because he just kind of sat there and acted as a big, meat shield. But then the rest of the squad was like, we don't really have any reliable engage. So we'll see whether or not they change that up during the draft as we load on in. Hong Kong Attitude going to be on the blue side, Nova eSports over on red. And we're going to start things off with a couple of flex bans actually coming out from Hong Kong Attitude toward Nova.
Yeah, Callista and as well as Set being played on 4 different places, roles in the roster. G4 also played a prominent Set, and in the meantime as well taking out Ryan's usual power farming junglers off of the map.
So getting rid of the Graves, still could always fall back onto, again, the Nidalee we have seen Ryan bring out a couple times, but for Hong Kong Attitude, Eminem, this is actually a rather weird priority. Usually would always go on to the Aphelios, but opting in for the Ashe at this point, and they're going to see whether or not Golden Feet tries to bring something else out.
Exactly. Normally, Eminem would just be very comfy with the Ezreal pick, but I like this style because this is what happened when you take a comfort pick away from Golden Feet. What is his fallback in that AD carry position? Because now we see Ryan having to pick up another power farming jungle in the Nidalee position.
Nidalee, though, he is comfortable on it, and like we mentioned before, could always fall back to it. I'm not 100% certain, though, if I want to see an Ezreal come out here of Nova, but it is going to be the classic Ashe-Ezreal matchup down in the bot lane. Not a whole bunch of excitement, it seems.
Not a whole bunch of excitement, and Holo, in the meantime, will be hovering on this Trundle, not very sure just yet, as Holo has picked this up twice so far in the whole duration of the tournament of summer. It has a 100% win rate, but it only has been picked twice, so we'll have to see whether or not this approach is going to work.
Yeah, last time he ended up playing, arguably it was up against Resurgence, and I believe as well his other one was up against Liab. So arguably the team sample size for those 2 victories on the Trundle were against our bottom 2 teams, but we also see Wing here opting in for a rather heavy engage. I think this is his first Nautilus game of the split.
Yeah, this actually fits well towards the composition of HKA as they want to be forming a lot of single target heavy CC. At least damage is going to be there as Nova locking in that Renekton, as this is Rocky's favorite comfort pick in the top side of the map. And
interesting, it is going to be that blind Renekton. We'll see whether or not Hong Kong Attitude try and bring anything out to try and counter that immediately. We have seen it be like a Callista or sometimes even the Quinn. Rocky has, unfortunately, some flashbacks possibly back to some international tournaments where that was picked up against him. But now you're kind of looking at what you want to see from Nova, especially from G4 in the mid lane, because this will often dictate the exact style of gameplay they're looking for.
What I'm usually afraid when teams build a lot of heavy poke composition is that normally they don't have some form of engage, which normally you want to fall back to just in case things get a little bit sticky. That's the reason why I wouldn't be surprised if the Silas appears again for G4, just because they can steal key ultimates to sort of counter how much engage HKA has. And for Nova, now that they removed that Karma pick, and just as you mentioned earlier, it looks like they're trying to set up for both Rocky and G4 in that matchup.
I'm really concerned, though, anytime you say Silas, because there's kind of 2 different G4s we could see. We could see, like, Godly G4, the God 4, come out, or we could see Gold 4. We have seen some variations on his Silas. Either he looks insane, or there's times where we're kind of questioning, you do know you don't have to go in every single opportunity that you do have. For Nova, though, we are going to see Pop pick in onto the Bard, so some good engage coming out and some playmaking opportunity from this bot lane.
Yeah, hopefully, Pop is able to reset, because his Bard yesterday wasn't as effective as a lot of the important key Tempered Fates haven't been actually very effective. And as we can see, Moonblack fallen back to his first ever pick in the PCS, the LeBlanc.
And putting a lot of pressure here, because he's going to be that, midsection of the game kind of damage coming out from the side of HKA. You're going to be waiting a while before that Ashe kind of comes online. And speaking of waiting a while, you could also have this Gangplank be locked in for the top lane for Cardis. as he gets his opportunity to be on a proper carry and go toe-to-toe here with Rocky.
I was actually looking forward to possibly maybe the Lucian back again, maybe the Quinn, just to try and fight it out in the top side of the map against Rocky. But I guess this is a different approach in that Gangplank pick. But now, no Silas. It's going to be Lysandra instead for G4.
I do like this, though, from G4. He's actually going to try and take something and tries to at least neutralize Moonblack's lane presence to try and keep him within the lane itself and prevent this LeBlanc from roaming all over the map.
Yeah, I love this pick very much. It has been the constant answer against the LeBlanc. And with that said, it's going to be very reminiscent of what we've seen between these two teams when they first duked it out in summer, where Moonblack on the Zoe wasn't able to find early game kills just because G4 was just trying to put Moonblack on a tight leash in the lane. I'm curious whether or not he can replicate that. It is possible, as it is a Lysandra going into that LeBlanc matchup.
I even saw there too. I know myself and Abriz have talked about this a couple times when it comes to that matchup in mid lane in particular. Sometimes Moonblack, last time we played up against it, a lot of criticism as he ended up taking a teleport, but at least keeps him able to at least responding to Lysandra as she roams around the map, is usually you're going to get neutralized yourself in that mid lane. So we're going to have to see how Moonblack plays this matchup. For G4, I think it gives him a prime opportunity to also help up and set up Ryan on this Nidalee for possible plays in toward that midsection of the map. We'll have to see a lot of this game riding on Ryan to get the ball rolling for Nova as we load on into the Rift. And you know what? Our rocket-powered dolly cam, I think we blew another tire, Riku. Not too sure what happened to it.
We have so many dolly cam reserves, so it's fine.
All our dolly cams, you know, can only use them once, and then we have to go buy another one, all right? That's just how it works, I guess. Not too sure what's going on with our dolly cam, but who knows? As G4, don't be a skatey. Yeah, be a happy kitty, all right? None of that scaredy cat. You're going up against Moonblack here. This is very much the matchup we are going to be watching alongside the jungle pairing.
Yeah, remember back in their first encounter between these two players, we've got G4 on the LeBlanc. 0-0-10. It looked like a very support LeBlanc, but he did his job right, as Moonblack wasn't able to find key picks in the early phases of the game, which is the constant, the constant X factor, if you will. HKA is unable to pull themselves from that situation.
Yeah, because it is very much do or die when it comes to Moonblack's performance. Like we've mentioned a couple times, like for the first 4 weeks of summer, he had something around the lines of, I think it was 85 to 80% kill participation. Absolutely insane, and it kind of showed how detrimental that situation was too, as the top lane, Cardis, not afraid to go 1v1 against Rocky, but Rocky, even in the eyes of a Gangplank as his lane matchup, not afraid to back down.
Yeah, level 1 usually, it is going to be definitely on the Gangplank's favor, but come level 3, Rocky will definitely be more equipped to trade better in towards that lane. But at the same time, we've seen how vulnerable a Gangplank lane is in general, so hopefully we'll get to see Ryan getting on board to funnel a little bit more resources, as again, it is very reminiscent of what Nova has been doing back at Spring.
Yeah, because when we talked to over on the side here of Hong Kong Attitude from Skywalk, the fact that they've actually opted to put Cardis onto something like a Gangplank shows a level of confidence, I could say, from the coaching staff to say, hey, he can be self-sufficient, he shouldn't be getting caught out, and this puts the onus on him to stay alive during the early game and not get caught out by Nova.
Yeah, a lot of trust definitely towards the side of the top side, but yeah, as we look towards the mid lane as well, that's something Moonblack should definitely watch out for. You can be easily punished with your distortions, with that root coming from the Lysandra, especially come level 6 with that Frozen Tomb.
So kind of waiting, I think, on that level 6 in particular before we get to see any action come out of Ryan. But meanwhile, bot lane, Pop not afraid to get up and personal up against Wing. as Wings is able to land out that dredge line. You saw the vision, though, already getting cleared out here by Ryan. So you see Cardis already a little bit wary that he might get dove himself. Does allow Hollow, though, to get control onto the bot side of the map and pick up his first scuttle.
Yeah, Cardis playing it safe, having to freeze and stay in line with that part near his tower to not be too open from the dives, especially you were going up against a Nidalee and as well as a Renekton.
Well, that's
Never
a little
mind.
tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan's
Tragic.
on top of a ward. As Cardis will just walk his way back to lane. It does force out the teleport, though, out of that gangplank. As Rocky should be able to get a tower plate here with that demolish.
Yeah, and the pressure coming from Ryan being very visible at the top side of the map really does force Cardis to be a little bit more respectful in towards the lane. But just as you mentioned, this gives Holo a little bit more control over the bottom side of the map, which is totally fine because you've got an Ezreal at bot, which is a very, very, very safe lane.
Yeah, it's gonna take a lot here for Golden Feet to get caught out himself, but that also lends to the fact that the Ezreal doesn't do a whole lot as far as utility-wise. You are practically just there for damage, and your damage doesn't really come online for at least a couple items.
Yeah, definitely. Golden Feet will be waiting for that 2-item power spike. And as well, so that means Nova's early game will definitely just rely on that trio. Rocky, Ryan, and as well as G4. And it's going to be online, especially come level 6, with a lot of tools to hold Moonblack down and shut him down in the lane.
Because that's the one thing we kind of feel like when you go up against Hong Kong Attitude. It's G4. Oh, he went a little bit too far forward. Chain comes out from Moonblack as he wanted to try and find the kill on the LeBlanc, but it's just going to be a flash for a flash.
That is a flash that is heavily needed, especially that if you don't have your Proto Belt yet, you do want that gap closer to get that route in. So that play will not be available until that flash is back on. I was so worried because you're so close in tower range, therefore the trade is just absolutely at lost in favor of, not in favor of G4.
Yeah, you even saw, luckily, that pop came on by, was able to provide a little bit of support as Golden Fee was able to get some prio. Back to this top lane, though. You got level 6 for Rocky. Spear comes out from Ryan, looking to just force this dive out on the card as G4 himself looking for a roam. Going to go on forward with the Frozen Claw, gets that route on down. The cleanse, though, comes out from Cardis, able to keep him back to safety. Frozen Tomb, like you mentioned, able to land, but still not enough damage coming out from Nova. A lot burned, and it will force the Gangplank to have to back off.
Holo's timing, he knows it so well. When Nova reached level 6, I'm gonna linger around just to see whether or not Nova's gonna go for it, and they did, and because of an additional damage absorber, they aren't able to finish off Cardis as Nova has invested so much on that. Ryan at least gets to keep his flash.
And I like it coming out here from Holo. Look at that map, completely blind, does not really know exactly where that Nidalee could be, but as long as he's just hovering toward the top side of the map, it keeps Cardis safe enough and prevents this GP from being targeted early on.
Yeah, being that hero, having to block on towards those Nidalee spears against Ryan. Good attempt. This is definitely what Nova is aiming for.
Yeah, because even though they weren't able to get the kill on Cardis, you do have to recognize, though, Rocky has built up a pretty damning CS difference between him and this Gangplank, as G4 still being played around with by Moonblack, but there's a 30 CS difference currently up in top lane.
And this is, again, we keep mentioning, reminiscent of what we've seen before in Nova's spring performance. Rocky on the Renekton, get at least 2 kills, get that early Rift Herald, get early plays towards Rocky, and then it is a formula for victory for Nova.
With, though, that Holo having to stay towards the top side of the map, it has made it so that M&M and Wing have to be pretty self-reliant on themselves, which, once they hit level 6, should be able to actually find plays themselves without needing the help of the jungle.
And that's the reason why Golden Feed has to be careful, as his flash has been used earlier, and it could be a potential entry point for HKA to be a little bit more aggressive. Pop, though, does have at least his Tempered Fate later on once he reaches level 6.
All right.
He gets it.
Gets the smite off, not respecting the fact that Holo could have a ward on top of the camp, but still A lot of aggression coming out from Ryan, getting those invades in.
Yeah, more control over the map, but Holo still, nonetheless, reaches level 6 after the Wolf Camp. At the end of the day, G4 has used his teleport already, has to manually go back to the lane, therefore HKA has a little bit control over this river part of the map, but take note still, as a trio of the top towards middle, they're definitely more powerful than Cardis, Holo, and Moonblack combined at the moment.
You do see Pop roaming on over. Doesn't have the Tempered Fate on that Bard that you would love to have, but it does look like that Holo is just going to go ahead and back off himself as Shelly's going to reset to the pit. Was waiting to see when Wing was going to try and make some roams himself, wanting to be part of that possible Rift Herald fight, but still not level 6 on the Nautilus.
Yeah, they'll definitely need that Nautilus ult just for that reliable engage, as if Eminem's Crystal Arrow doesn't work, you will definitely have a better chance with that depth charge. And with that said, Nova has first dibs on towards this Rift Herald. The win conditions on the checklist is slowly being checked as HKA will trade a dragon for that.
Do like to see, though, that Holo has gone ahead and tried to get some dragon control in response, realizing that Ryan's just been kind of living on the top side of the map. That's one thing that he usually doesn't end up doing. He's actually got some pretty bad dragon control percentage for a jungle, as he usually plays down toward the bot side of the map. As you do see, Rocky still getting some decent damage in. Ryan going to be looking for a spear, but the minion wave ends up just coming on through, and unfortunately not going to be able to do enough. Shelly, though, will be popped, and they want to unlock Rocky.
They want to unlock Rocky, and Wing is going to go for Pop.
Aggressive. Holo's nearby. Maybe they thought there could be follow-up, but meanwhile, top lane is just going to get taken here, and Nova are able to find themselves the first tower of the game.
There you go, checklist. Get at least a kill. That didn't happen, but at least you fall back into funneling plates towards Rocky. And for Nova, they can keep doing this as they can take advantage of how weak a gangplank is in the first minutes of the game. And yeah.
For Cardis, we have mentioned a couple times in the previous days, if you guys are new to watching Hong Kong Attitude, Cardis has been kind of built up as this star new talent that coming out of the region is able to sit in high challenger over on the Korean server. But right now, Rocky's having his way with him up in top lane so far, now sitting at an almost expanded 40 CS lead.
Yeah, definitely Rocky building that up, especially he's already on his first item on the board. HKA, Cardis rather, still waiting on towards his Triforce. So that's going to be a little while for him to create a little bit more impact when it comes to the barrel placements. There's still some use at this point of the game, though, which is that Cannon Barrage will be very key for any sort of Nova's attempt on engage, either in the mid lane or possibly in future objectives such as the second Rift Herald, maybe even the Dragon.
I also see from Rocky here opting to go in for the Bork. We've kind of seen kind of two different builds come out of the Renekton, but the Bork has been popping up recently in popularity, especially when you have something like a tank jungle in the form of a Trundle, as well as a very tanky front line in Wing, as that Pink Ward actually keeping track of Holo very well here. That's been paying dividends so far here for Nova.
Yeah, Nova, full focus on the top side of the map. That's 3 control wards almost invested towards the top portion of the map as Nova continues to spread resources as well as at the bottom to see if they're going to bump into Holo.
Getting a little bit too close into the action. G4 flashing on in, does have the ultimate available. We'll see whether or not Nova want to pull the trigger. Ends up having to use it on himself as Eminem came on over toward the side. G4 going to get on taken down. There's your Tempered Fate, but it's way too late from Pop as First Blood has already gone on over to Hong Kong Attitude.
Well, that was the plan that Nova started. Unfortunately, First Blood goes towards HKA. Eminem picking up that first kill, and they're, again, great with their punish because they have a lot of single target CC. They have that subjugate as well, just to try and drain out targets that are a little bit too tanky, but at the same time, again, Nova, they're supposed to at least assassinate one and get out of there, but unfortunately, it did not happen.
Well, it's a very greedy play because you take a look overall, HKA, they're the ones that had Prio in the bot lane, so it was an easy rotate coming out from Wing and Pop. I'm going to have to say, needed that Temper Fate maybe about 20 seconds earlier, and it does cost out on Nova as they give over first blood to Hong Kong Attitude in a game that they were, doing decently well. You have Rocky scaling up in the top lane. You got Ryan stealing buffs. Things are going well, but mistakes like that will easily cost you games.
Yeah, and I was a little bit worried because, again, Nova's vision control is just heavily focused on top side. Nova didn't have a lot in the bottom side of the map. Therefore, not a lot of information, to take advantage of. And just as you mentioned, yeah, for HKA's bot lane, they have priority, able to fall back and respond. And now Nova continuing with the top side pressure instead.
Yeah, because this is the trio that we wanted to see earlier on when we first thought about how this game is going to pan out. And at least G4 and Ryan, even though they haven't been able to get a kill just yet for Nova, they have been able to at least get plates as well as towers on the top side of the map. And now Rocky is free to roam anywhere he wants.
Yeah, and because of this lead, because of Nova's investment on towards Rocky at top side, therefore the next Dragon spawn will be very important. This is where a Renekton shines for sure, especially you're still waiting on towards that Black Cleaver. It's still fine, but you still do have that Bork and that lead over that top side, which is Cardis.
Do see, though, Hong Kong Attitude, they're still waiting on Cardis. Going to be another back before he gets himself his Trinity Force. Going to be about a 16, maybe 17-minute Trinity Force. But here you go. Next Dragon is spawning. Rocky already sitting on to the bot side in that bot lane. We do see Hong Kong Attitude, though. 4 members say, all right, let's go. Let's try and make something happen. G4 does have teleport available. Wants to try and join in onto the fight. You can tell HKA kind of spread apart over toward the side. You'll have that Tempered Fate able to land onto the main target. Hollow is able to secure the Dragon, but can Nova find anything else? Hollow, he's just dancing around the pit. Huh? He's going to walk away from Rocky, at least try and stall them out. It will be the 1 kill in favor of Nova unless Rocky can't finish it off. That's not going to be the case. And there you go. Kill secured. Ryan still on the hunt. Maybe decides again not to try and jump in onto Moonblack as they decide to rotate down for a tower. Another spear lands from Ryan. Nova, they lose out on the second Dragon. That does allow Hong Kong Attitude to look for a Mountain Soul in 10 minutes, but that should net them another tower.
Yeah, they're able to get more kills for themselves. They're able to exchange at least from having that loss, unfortunately, as the game plan for Nova is to separate and isolate. Holo was all alone in this pit as Moonblack had to distortion out of there and reposition as the rest of Nova scares off the backline of HK. It's definitely all according to plan. A little bit worried that Holo would have escaped, but Rocky does have that slice and dice to be able to close that gap and just eliminate Holo there.
Well, you can see Nova are only kind of getting half of what they want. Sure, you're able to get a kill and get a tower, but you don't really want to be setting yourselves up for a possible Mountain Soul in 10 minutes. And if HK are able to find maybe a good fight or a misstep coming out from the side of Nova, there could be an easy turnaround in this game. You saw the setup coming out there from Rocky and Ryan. Not going to happen, but knowing that the Nidalee is on the bot side of the map, they go ahead and start up the Rift Herald.
Oh, they're still going. Yeah, I think that is definitely the sacrifice. HK taking advantage of how much resources Nova is investing just to try and eliminate Moonblack, who has been staying in the bottom side of the map. And I guess this is unfortunate, and it's definitely good news.
Oh, they get in onto Rocky. He's got that beautiful arrow that came out of M&M. Able to find the snipe, and there's your shutdown going on over to Moonblack.
It works well. You have the Cannon Barrage to clear the wave. You got the Crystal Arrow to keep him intact. And you got the Tether from Moonblack on this LeBlanc to just seal the deal. And these greedy decisions might bite Nova in the back, especially as the game progresses.
That's a nasty arrow coming out from M&M all the way from the Baron Pit. We didn't even get to see it on the map, but knowing that Rocky likes to be aggressive, trying to jump in onto the tower, it's an easy collapse.
Yeah, perfect angle too. Normally you'd expect the arrow from the lane, from the base, but this time around it's coming from the upper portions of the map, and therefore Nova did not expect that at all.
And kind of our first Ash arrow to come out from Hong Kong Attitude, able to net themselves a kill, and that's a nice juicy shutdown now going on to Moonblack as he finishes off his GLP.
Yeah, definitely a big spike when it comes to that utility, able to slow a little bit some of the members, especially if Eminem is not going to be around for the fights. Since Nova does, again, like to isolate and separate members with an attack via this trio, as Nova will still continue to farm. Rocky still has his lead at least, but if he doesn't push through a little bit more, HKA will slowly catch up.
I do like, though, that Nova have been able to, with that tower being taken down in bot lane, you take a look towards your minimap, able to get a line of vision into the jungle of HKA and maybe try and catch them out before they set up possibly for this next dragon.
Yeah, definitely for good vision control, at least a little bit of defensive, a little bit of offensive on that side, as, again, Nova does like to attack when it comes to invading the jungle, actually trying to bother Holo, seeing, again, if ever they can catch someone off guard, just because they have the tools to do so in the form of the Lissandra and as well as the Tempered Fate from Pop.
We did see Ryan was actually being, tracked through his own jungle in the same way as Moonblack currently is, and that did give a little bit of confidence on over to HKA to try and maybe look for a possible play toward the midsection of the map, as you do see Pop and Golden Feet kind of left alone to their own devices. Muramana, though, fully stacked onto that Ezreal alongside the Iceborne, but still 2 items now on this Ashe as well, and Teleport is available for Rocky if he wants to try and find a flank himself. Pop almost gets caught out toward the side. True Shot Barrage ends up fanning, only hitting Moonblack on over to the side. Hollow gets taken on down. Tempered Fate gets G4 as well as Wing. Wing wants to go for a ring gauge, but he gets stunned up once again, and Pop is carrying this fight, but in comes the Gangplank, in comes the Pirate to turn things around. Moonblack over the wall, finds the chain onto Ryan. It'll be a jungle for a jungle as well now. Hong Kong Attitude with some very healthy health bars.
Yeah, let's look at the ults. What are the important ults are down? Rocky's Dominus is down. We've got no Frozen Tomb anymore. Tempered Fate already used. So a lot of these key ults are gone. So for HKA, while they're still a little bit healthy, no jungler, it seems to me the call would be Nova just trying to push mid to make more space in case the 2 junglers decide to go at it again in the Dragon Pit.
And it all starts here with Pop kind of getting caught out, but a beautiful snare onto Hollow catches them out, and that's going to be a nice burst coming in onto the jungle.
Yeah, they're able to at least eliminate Hollow immediately, but unfortunately, with that said, the jungler as well, Ryan is unable to survive from all that, coming from that hook. Well done by Wing. And Rocky, I feel like if he came to the fight earlier, I feel like Nova had a bigger chance in winning that fight.
But here we go. 3rd dragon of the game is going to be started off here by Hong Kong Attitude. Ryan needing to get himself a steal. Look at that flank, though, starting to be set up by Moonblack. Wants to try and get onto these squishy members, onto Golden Feet. Double Distortion, not going to be enough. Frozen Tomb is able to lock him down, but without that being available, it's enough. There's your arrow. Rocky needs to try and steal it. It's not going to happen. And 3rd dragon of the game secured for Hong Kong Attitude as they look toward Mountain Soul on the next spawn.
It's so great because HKA, they have the tools to do their own painful pokes as well, but in the form of Cardis's impactful barrels. And Nova is unable to challenge that Dragon Pit at all just because G4 might be forced, or rather did not have that Frozen Tube at that time. Okay, Golden Feet's gonna be fine. But again, their health bars are too low to even fight that dragon.
You even see Moonblack is looking to just jump in onto Ryan. Ryan with no vision himself, can't go anywhere, gets stunned up again by the root. In comes another Distortion, and there you go. Moonblack now on a killing spree, and this LeBlanc is online and lethal onto multiple members of Nova.
Yeah, 3-0-0 and 300 gold bounty on towards Moonblack. Nova's gonna have a difficult time starting from now, especially they had control over the top side of the map earlier, and now HKA is returning the favor by invading Ryan in his own jungle.
And for Nova, this early game, it was supposed to go in their favor. You were supposed to be proactive, but now you can tell the side of Hong Kong Attitude are not afraid. G4 just dives into the back line. Maybe got hooked in there by Wing, but nonetheless is caught out. And that's Lissandra down. No mid laner for Nova for the next half minute.
Very tough because Nova, what they just wanted to do is see whether or not they can try to punish in case HKA pulls the trigger, but HKA has definitely a better setup in their single target damage department, and G4 tried to make a heavy engage play, but it's definitely too late as Colon Feed was already chunked in a significant amount.
See, the issue when you use your ultimate onto an AD carry, if they do have a QSS, they can just cleanse it away. If you ult onto yourself, well, hey, at least you still get that damage as well as that consistent slow. And now for Nova, looking a little bit tipsy when it comes to the scales, as Hong Kong Attitude were able to survive through that early game. Cardis is now online with the Trinity Force, able to get some decent damage off with this Gangplank during the team fights when he's needed. And we wanted to see Nova play via Rocky when he gets his leads, but we just didn't get to see that here in the mid game.
Yeah, there's just so many encounters where Rocky was not present at all in certain fights. Either he was late or possibly, the rest of the members from Nova are low, therefore Nova is calling the fight off. So Golden Feet has Arcane Shift, he's going to be fine. But yes, we still need to see Rocky create impacts in the fights that Nova desires to start.
So with that, here we go. It's going to be the tower taken by Hong Kong Attitude, and that opens up now the midsection of the map for them to try and get down a ward line. And this next dragon becomes extremely risky for Nova if they're not able to set up properly, on top of the fact that they now also have to have the idea of this Baron in the back of their mind.
Yeah, the pressure is definitely going to be building. Supposedly, the dragon before this, the Earth Drake, was supposed to be something that they could take away from HKA so that they're able to buy some more time and not have too much pressure off their shoulders. Now there's Baron. Now there's the second dragon, or rather fourth dragon of HKA that they have to think about. And now Nova, though, setting up a party brush. Hopefully this will work.
When in doubt,
HKA is, in the other parts of the map instead.
When in doubt, pull out the party brush, see what's going to happen. It's kind of that good old LST special. It does net them the tower in mid lane, so they are able to at least keep this gold even, but you do not want to be even if you are Nova at this point. You wanted to be ahead. You had yourself that Nidalee, that Lissandra, the Renekton that was supposed to help bridge this early mid game. Unfortunately, they have not been able to net a lead. Colmfie, felt that dredge line just whip across his face as he ends up getting back to base. A little bit of an early reset coming out from Nova as the Dragon's going to be spawning in 40.
Yeah, 40 seconds, able to get that reset at least. Also, key summoner spells will be back up and running in time for that dragon contest. The same goes for HKA as well. So it's definitely going to be a scary fight. Definitely for Nova, as they haven't found success just yet. If they want to pull the trigger, they gotta do it now, or else it's going to be an arrow to the face or a death charge to key targets.
And you saw G4 having to commit his teleport there. Rocky has his own, but we're not seeing getting any side lane pressure. Wants to stick with the team. Pop able to get that snare. Did they get the catch out onto Wing? He is forced to flash over to safety as Hollow puts down the pillar as well as his ground. Moonblack trying to get a little bit of poke, but here we go. We've seen this one before. Teleport going to come out from Cardis. Wants to join in. He's a speedy pirate boy. And now Nova have to make the decision if they want to commit toward this fight. 5,000 health on toward the dragon. Cardis wanting to look for a flank. Moonblack is going to do the same himself on top of G4. Able to get himself the snare. Tempered Fate onto Eminem. That's your target. Flashing on forward is Rocky. But the engage, the response coming out from Wing. Gets the knock up. G4 onto the back line. He gets shut down. Dragon secured by Nova, but the bodies are starting to hit the floor as Moonblack finds himself another kill. That's 3 gone for Nova, and Moonblack still on the hunt for this Nidalee. Ryan cannot find safety except with the flash, getting himself over the wall.
Moonblack still not stopping here. He wants the kill. But yeah, I guess that is unfortunate for HKA because, or for Nova rather, because yes, they did manage to at least deny that Dragon Soul, that Mountain Soul away from HKA, but the biggest problem would be that HKA has enough space to go towards Baron, and Nova has more headaches to deal with.
And there you go, Baron secured by Hong Kong Attitude, because that's going to net them now a 3,000 gold lead. Let's take a look onto the fight, as that is Nova pulling the trigger, wanting to make the play, trying to get on top of Eminem, but they still can't take down this Ashe.
Yeah, that was the perfect setup. But again, take note, Cannon Barrage and as well as your barrels are going to be very impactful in towards this fight. If you don't get your key targets such as Eminem, such as Moonblack in your first rotation of skills, and that full-on commitment, then that means it ain't gonna be pretty after all that, as we've seen in that replay.
And credit over to Wing in particular, was able to find himself a 3-man knockoff off the ultimate onto Rocky, as unfortunately all of Nova kind of flashed in onto the same location and didn't work out too well into their favor. And now, question is for Nova, how do they weather out this Baron buff, as you even see Cardis now also picking up probably his final upgrade on the Gangplank on his next door back.
Yeah, things are going to get harder. Nova has to deal with the Soul, Nova has to deal with that Baron, and as well as having to realize that the fact that their lead weren't able to translate to impactful fights. And now they're running out of time as Moonblack is out of control, forking stacks on towards the Magi's. Got 3-0-5-1 towards Eminem. Has a QSS. So your window of opportunity to take advantage of how weak they were in the first few minutes of the game is not there anymore.
And unfortunately here for Nova too, Colton Feet isn't necessarily on a insane high damage carry just yet. The Ezreal still needs a little bit of time before he's able to fully come online. He's kind of just become a Mystic shot bot at this point, and he can't even get in range. That's the biggest issue here for the side of Nova, is range itself. Moonblack can always step forward and force Colton Feet to have to arcane shift to safety if he's not careful. Eminem can always get long range from this Ashe, and it feels like Nova, they have to try so hard to dive into these backlines, but it's just not paying off.
And the thing is, they have key champions that has access to dive. You've got G4 on the Lissandra, you got Rocky for the teleport flanks, you got Ryan if positioned well, but unfortunately, they are spotted out so much. HKA's vision control when the fight begins in objective fights is just so good that Nova is unable to get entrances other than the front line, which is definitely more predictable.
There you go, Gong attitude. Even with that true shot barrage from Golden Feet, doesn't do a whole lot to the Baroned up minions. Another tower is going to fall, and that nets them now a 4,000 gold lead, as well as the second tier tower in bot lane going alongside with it. And Nova now having to turtle inside their base. Baron buff will dissipate in a couple seconds, but now focus on toward that next dragon. Mountain Soul still an option for Hong Kong attitude, because Nova was not able to secure a single dragon until the most recent spawn.
Exactly, and Nova has to do it all over again. Has to attempt that second steal if possible, or else HKA will get that Mountain Soul. And the thing is, for Nova, again, they have to create some sort of flank. They have to create some sort of pincer attack to at least get the carries immediately, or else you have to face Barrels, you have to face Holo, and as well as Wing, who's definitely extra tanky at this point of the game.
You do see Nova themselves are going to try and do what they can to set up and around this dragon, but it feels like you're coming down to another miracle steal to come out from Ryan at this point. We have seen him do it time before during the split when Nova needed a crucial steal to keep themselves back into this game, but you already see that chances, that hope starting to dwindle immensely as HKA already have bodies onto the pit. 10 seconds on the spawn, Nova had to respond.
It's so hard too. You mentioned earlier QSS, and now Banshees. Okay, Nova's starting.
Inside the Dragon Pit is going to get the knock-on back. In comes Engage onto Wing. Pop is forced to flash away into safety. Rocky popping the Dominus already. Golden Feet gets himself back over toward the side of the wall with the Magical Journey. But you see Hong Kong attitude with positioning in onto the river. Moonblack wants to jump forward. Lands with their chain. Rocky's going to get stunned up. He's going to get hooked up. Tempered Fate looking to try and turn back the fight. But Moonblack into the back line trying to make stuff happen. Pop is able to survive. Rocky able to as well. G4 is able to keep the fight going. Golden Feet over toward the side on this. Ezreal needs to try and turn back the fight. He will find one, but now Moonblack is on the hunt. Hollow could do the same. Pop still in alongside him. Jungles are still up and alive. Ryan, though, wants to get a good Nidalee Spear onto the target. Moonblack looking for the assassination. Eminem looking to step up himself, able to get marked. Moonblack does have teleport. So does Rocky. In we go. Electric 2. Boogaloo onto the back line. He takes down the Ashe, but Moonblack now wants to respond with his own. Going to get that GLP. Gets the damage in onto Rocky, but Ryan is still that primary target you have to take down. Another reset onto the dragon, and it looks like neither team can finish off the objective.
My heart from that prolonged fight, and it's still not stopping.
Pop gets caught out. Moonblack can finish him off, and there's just no respect. Homefeet trying to go godly. Unfortunately, still not going to be enough damage, but in comes another TP as G4 joins in onto the party. Cardis gets caught out toward the side, forced to flash to safety, and what the heck kind of fiesta am I watching? As again, another Ezreal ult is going to be here. Hollow now into a 1v3. Cardis over toward the side. Wing has respawned. Moonblack into the back line. Ryan barely has any health. Another reset on the Dragon. G4 has nowhere left to run. Moonblack is dominating. Rocky rejoins, and this goddamn fight never ends. Another arrow across the side, but it looks like finally Hong Kong Attitude, after a 1.5-minute long fight, secure Mountain Soul.
How many deaths was that? How many resets? Because if Cold Feed were to die next, he had teleported to rejoin the fight. But whew, that was a stressful, prolonged fight for both of these teams. It's just unfortunate that the last fight, G4 was the next one to die. 40 seconds on the timer, which means that's 40 seconds of a 4v5 situation, and G4 is an integral part of this composition because they need that additional CC to hold people down, because everyone is practically very slippery, especially for Moonblack. And the thing is, it's just so hard because Nova tried their best to deny all of that, has already used all of their teleports, but still HKA comes up on top.
And there you go. Thank you, Riku, for covering that point. I had the biggest gulp of water I could have possibly had. But my lord.
Understandable.
Fiesta, have you not? Nova bringing the party, it would seem. As again, I think that's the longest fight we have had of PCS, and Moonblack, maybe he doesn't want another good fight as Ryan's going to get caught out, able to get himself back to safety. In comes the arrow onto G4. Lysandra going down low, forced to go into stasis. Can G4 try and turn this back around? Does have the Frozen Tomb available, could decide to go in, but he decides against it as he wants to back to base.
Okay, Nova, no casualties. They're able to escape, only having to proc that Zonia's Hourglass will not be available once Nova decides to go dive and contest this Baron, as HKA has that grab, has control over this top side of the map, especially Nova's top side jungle, as it is a very dark place. Pop
can't be getting caught out here on that Bard. He's the crucial disengage that Nova need, as well as possible engage. You can see just what Moonblack is looking to do. He wants that final stack onto the Magi's for him to be able to transcend, as Nova on the hunt, able to get the flash out of this LeBlanc. Do you see, though, Hong Kong Attitude are starting up the Baron. Two-shot barrage is going to catch this out. They know what's happening. G4 wants to step up, but Card is able to get some decent damage now that he has finished off his Infinity Edge.
Oh, there's the Tempered Fate. Gonna bump the wing
to try and interrupt G4, getting on top of Moonblack. It's not going to happen. Forced to use his ultimate on himself. Wing going down low is going to get himself back to safety. Decides to go on in. Coldfeet able to find the kill. Rocky, though, gets absolutely blown apart, as that's a double kill for Eminem.
And just as you mentioned, yeah, that is what's going to happen to you if you had to stand around Cardis's barrels with an IE with the Triforce intact. And with that said, that's 2 members down, which are key members from Nova, as Moonblack still distracts Nova away from this Baron of a potential
Moonblack
steal.
is able to get away with this just shows how far behind Nova is down. Ryan needs to make a miracle play, able to land the spear, but not enough damage to take it on down. Moonblack gets himself back to safety, and second Baron of the game secured by Hong Kong Attitude.
This is such a painful game to watch because Nova had so much control over the first 10 minutes of the game, only to falter as they're pressured to deny objectives instead. In the story of the game, HKA is able to come up on top, not only getting that Mountain Soul, but as well as that Baron, as Nova's lead has slowly been diminished from time to time, HKA having a significant amount of lead already.
And now you're looking at about a 6,000 gold lead. Again, gold lead starts to matter less and less as this game goes on, because it just feels like Hong Kong Attitude. It comes down to execution of these fights, and it's kind of the tale of these mid lanes. One is 6-0-4, the other is 0-6-4. at the moment. G4 has yet to been able to actually jump in onto some of these team members during some of these crucial fights. And the whole idea of picking up this Lissandra was to try and neutralize Moonblack, but he was able to get himself online still and able to roam freely across the map.
Yeah, that's the thing. You picked up the Lissandra to neutralize the mid lane, but look at the mid lane, 604 now. The usefulness rather of this Lissandra will slowly diminish as the game progresses. The same goes for this Renekton pick, which he had a lead. Rocky had a lead, but look at that, HKA already knocking towards Nova's base.
And there you go, inhibitor tower going to be taken here in the mid lane. And Moonblack still distorting forward. There you go, inhibitor down in mid. Baron buff still on for another minute 15 for Nova. Had to make the decision when you want to fight. Eminem's arrow not going to find its mark as it gets flashed away there by Ryan, but minion waves starting to crash in, looking possibly for a final push. There comes your Tempered Fate onto 2 members. Cardis gets caught out. Some damage is going to be there, but re-engage. Pop gets caught out himself. In comes a cannon barrage, and in goes the kill for Eminem. G4 has nowhere to run, and this Ashe is fully online and unlocked. It's a double kill for Eminem. Moonblack continues forward, and a much-needed victory coming through from Hong Kong Attitude as they are not stopping. They are looking for dives in the fountain, but the team will end the game before they can.
And it seems the theme for today is revenge. Nova won the first game against each other, and now HKA is able to tie that matchup 1-1. And just as you mentioned, a very important win for Hong Kong Attitude.
Yeah, if anything, it's all these teams that lost in the first round robin. The revenge has finally seeped in, it seems, from the teams that took the L early on. And yeah, of all the games I expected Nova to have the opportunity to go for, they tried to change up this team fight, change up this team comp that, again, they have yet to actually show to work. That's the issue when it comes to G4 on something that looks to be utility and neutralize the rest of the team. It just doesn't work out.
The thing is, it worked out for the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game. It's just that they weren't able to push through more with their lead. I expected they would be more aggressive, a little bit more top side of the map, constrict Hollow in his own space a little bit more, but the bottom side of the map, unfortunately, after a few attempts here and there, they lost their prime, they lost their lead, and it all just went down the drain.
It was a dive there, and even for Hong Kong Attitude, it wasn't necessarily an easy game to get back in there. You saw on the player cam at the end of the game, Wang praised the side of relief. He kind of goes, okay, we were able to take this one back. That one was a close one. Let's take a look at some of the highlights here. But again, comes down to that mid game, not being able to play through the lead that Rocky was able to find himself in a side lane.
Yeah, and it's too late. You've got, Cardis having to get his Triforce, Sterax already, be a little bit more tanky in towards the fights, have more impactful cannon barrages in as well as barrels, and the fact that Eminem had already a QSS, therefore, as the game progresses, more defensive items are going to be built up. You've got Moonblack having the MVP, who's 605, godlike at some point. What a play from this guy.
Yeah, Moonblack. We've mentioned this team often lives and dies by his performance, and honestly, if he wasn't on his game today, that easily could have been a Nova game still. Taking that victory on home as the LeBlanc was able to still find its way back into the game, and for Nova, it's back to the drawing board and a bit of disappointment overall, because that's, like we mentioned, a game that you needed to win in order to feel a little bit more comfortable when it came to your standings. Now, actually, Nova dropping down, they actually don't have many games left for them to try and come back, and if Liab are in fact able to get enough wins to overtake them, they will be knocked out of playoffs. So that's always got to be in the back of their mind.
Yeah, exactly. Nova has only 3 games left. I believe it's going to be Alpha, Resurgence, and as well as Berjaya Dragons. And looking at their performance now, again, they won against HKA, but unfortunately unable to 2-0. It is quite possible for the rest of their games to have the same outcome.
Still that possibility, though. And we're not going to have an interview over from the Hong Kong Attitude players. Instead, we are going to go straight into a break. When we come back, it's going to be Taipei J-Team taking on Resurgence, the top and bottom of the standings, dueling it out.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.